What's up, guys? My name is Eric. This is Teach Go High Level, and this is part 2 of the settings section. In this video, we're going to be going over everything in the business services section. Some of these things we've actually already covered in other videos, and my team will link to those. Remember, the settings section is about the settings for other areas at times. So just like in the last video, the opportunities and pipeline settings didn't have you do all the functionality of opportunities and pipelines. You do that there. Kicking it off, the first one we see here is automation. Now, in the automation section, there's only 2 things that you can actually do here. The first one is notifications. So let's say you built a workflow or an automation and you're not sure if it's going to function properly. Yes, you tested it, you did everything that I teach you to do, but it'd be nice to know if something happened in there. You can turn on a notification to notify you if there's a failure in an automation. It just sends you an email and says, hey, there was a failure in this one. You can click a link and go view it. That could be helpful, especially if you're new to the automation game and you want to know right away if there's a problem. The second one, this one's actually really interesting. A lot of people overlook this. It's pausing a workflow, okay? This is a great scenario for if you have a business where you're constantly email marketing, like monthly newsletters and outbound campaigns and conversational bots, and like you just always have automations running for your business, which I highly recommend you do. That's one of the great benefits of having Go High Level. But let's say it's Christmas or New Year's or some significant holiday where you're like, I don't really want to bother people. Well, you can actually pause workflow entirely by putting in a date. Now you can select them if there's only certain ones you want to pause, or you can just, hey, every year on Christmas, you just select them all. That's it. All right, so I put my dates and times in there, and then you can select which ones you want. You could select all of them by just going all published workflow. So that'd be great for Christmas. If you're like, hey, I don't want to do any communication, we're all good. And then you would just hit save. You can also make this an annual thing, like December 24th and 25th. Every year, we don't do this. Hit save. And that's a great way if you're conscious about your messaging and you want to be sure that stuff isn't going out when you know people probably don't want to receive it. Instead of going into each automation and pausing them and having to go back, after the holiday and turn them back on, this is a great way to just go in and do your whole section or certain automations all at once. Next on the list is calendars. Now, we have covered calendars in depth on how to set them up, the different kinds and all those sorts of things. So I'm not going to go over that here. If you see, my team's going to put the video to the calendars video here and somewhere, and we're going to move on. Now, the next 2 are brand new developments with Go High Level. First thing I'm going to say is super, super powerful. The amount of AI conversation and agents that you can now use in Go High Level are absolutely worth the money. They're an absolute game changer, but I will say they are more complex than I can do justice to them in this one settings video. So I want to go over what the difference between them are, and then we are going to be making an in-depth series on each of them, how to set them up, use case scenarios of when you want to use them, and how to refine and test them. The first one is conversational AI. This is a bot, all right? It is not an agent. It is a bot that will interact in your conversations tab on your behalf, all right? You can have it auto-suggest, or you can have it just run the conversation for you. So if someone Facebook messages your business or WhatsApp or SMS, it will interact on your behalf. And you can have multiple bots. The next one is the voice AI agents. This one is brand new. This is the newest of all the AI tools. This is an AI agent that will interact when someone calls your business on your behalf and give you a summary. This is going to be an absolute game changer. If you remember in the last video, I talked about the missed call text back, how powerful that can be. This tool is the next level. This is going to absolutely change the game for many brick and mortar and home service businesses, especially. Because imagine that you have a full-time employee answering the phone for you, gathering a customer's information and logging it in your system so you can keep doing the work that you're doing. This is going to be incredibly powerful. It's very inexpensive compared to having a call answering service that used to be the solution. Now with AI, this is only going to get better and better. So be watching for that video to come out soon. We're working on it currently. Next is email services. Now we've been in this part before, all right, when we did our basic setup and we set up dedicated email domain, but there's some other things in here that I want to point out to you that we didn't go over in that because we were focused on just setting up and getting functional. Once you've started using your dedicated email domain, there's a couple of different settings in here that you can have. So the first is forward and reply settings. when you receive an email reply, not only in the conversations view, but you can actually have it forward onto your personal email, so your Gmail or your Outlook if you want to, and it will forward those on there, or it'll blind copy as well, or you can forward it to the assigned user. This is cool if you only want to work out of your inbox and you don't want to have to constantly be checking GoHighLevel. Totally up to the individual user. Some will be fine with keeping them separated. Some will want them together. So that's the first one. The reply address, this is if you have an outbound email like info@reply.abcwindowcleaning.com, but when they hit the reply, you want it to maybe go into your main email inbox at your office, you can change that into here. And when they hit reply, it'll go into a separate email inbox. So that's really cool. The next is your email analytics. So your email analytics, I love data. I think data is one of the most powerful things to inform your decision making. Marketing and sales is both art and science. The science component is having the data that you need to make informed decisions of, are my headlines working? Are my hooks working? Are the subject lines good? Is my copy good? Like that's the art of it. The science part will tell you, is it effective or not? What percentages? And it will also start to alert you if you're having problems with your email. Like maybe a lot of your emails are bouncing. That's not good. Maybe they failed. Maybe you had a whole lot of people unsubscribe because you said something a little off color. This will allow you to see that. Not just, you can look at individual emails in your automation and your campaigns, and we'll go over those in those videos, but this will show you all the email statistics for everything sent from this account. I would recommend that you be checking this regularly to be aware of any problems. The biggest ones to pay attention to are your delivered. You want to have a really high delivery rate. And then of course your opened and clicked are going to be lower. That's just email marketing. I would definitely though pay attention to what's your delivery rate is. Like, is it getting to their box? Doesn't necessarily mean inbox, but is it being noted as delivered to them? I would monitor your complaint rate, your bounce rate, your unsubscribe, and your failed. This bottom row is really important to alert you to problems, right? If this is a little bit lower, it's time to start paying attention here. Are they unsubscribing? Are they bouncing, right? One's a technical issue. One is they didn't like what you had to say or you're bugging them. On top of unsubscribing, did they complain and mark it spam? That's important to know. This will give you information to help inform your art. The science will inform you. Next is our bounce classification, all right? So when an email bounces, what happened is the email left your GoHighLevel and your dedicated domain, and it went to this person's inbox via MX record, and it says, I would like to deliver this email to John. And the doorkeeper of your email service provider goes, no, thank you, right? This is the most generic way I can explain this, but it says, no, thank you. I do not want it. And it kicks it back. There's soft bounce, there's hard bounce, right? And this will start to show you what the classification is. Error codes, and you can Google these and find out what each one of them mean. This is a big one. If you have an ESP or ISP block, these were blocked by Gmail, Yahoo, the email service provider. So again, pay attention to these. The last one is new. These are your Postmaster tools. And without getting too in-depth, okay, Google Postmaster and Microsoft SNDS are services provided by those email service providers that will help you improve your deliverability. So you have to create a Google Postmaster account. You can find a video on how to do that. And you'll have to create a Microsoft SNDS account. If you're sending 5 emails a month, not gonna be a big deal. As long as you're writing good content and it's valuable to people, it's totally fine. Where this really comes into play is if you're sending a large amount, you're even entertaining having a dedicated IP address for sending, which most of you won't, because you really need to be doing around 100,000 units of email a month to justify having a dedicated IP. But these tools used to be outside of GoHighLevel, and you had to go look at them individually and add your domain and all that sort of stuff. Now GoHighLevel has allowed you to see them in there. This is much more advanced than a lot of you will need. If you guys want to know more about these, I can show you how we use ours, but if you're not going to be sending more than a couple of thousand emails a month, this is going to be less impactful for you than just getting out there and marketing and doing your business and going out there and changing the world, but it is now included. So moving on, we're going to phone numbers. Again, we covered this section partially in our setup where we were buying our phone number, getting our A2P brand and all that stuff. But there's a couple other things that you can look at in here. Again, as far as settings, we have our phone numbers, right? We've gone over how you could forward them, assign them to users, all those sorts of things. Also though, let's say you have multiple numbers for your reps. You can see a summary of what you've done on the phone. And so it'll show you, hey, this is how many of this thing that we've used. So whether it's email verification, it goes back to it pulls up basically the billing of how many units of SMS you sent, how many units of phone minutes you used. Regulatory bundle address, this is not required because you did A2P. If you're outside USA or Canada, this is absolutely required. This is done for you as a part of A2P. The Trust Center, we've been there before. This is where we managed our whole A2P 10DLC application. There is sometimes where you're gonna be a little bit spamerson. That's the name for the person that goes out there and sends 100,000 units of SMS as soon as they get set up. There's a chance that you could get suspended and you'll be able to see, hey, my phone isn't working. I need to submit an appeal. Within here also, you have a couple of more advanced things you can do with your phone. So Shake and Stir, this is a registration for you to be a verified caller. It's another form of registration so that instead of showing up as possible spam, you will show up as a verified caller. CNAM, all right, this will display your business name. So if you're ABC window cleaning, it won't just say the town and the city and the phone number. It will show the actual name of the business. Again, you just walk through the registrations. The last one, voice integrity, coming soon. We don't know anything about this yet. It's been here for a while, but when this does come out, we'll do a video on it for you. Lastly, WhatsApp. Now, I personally don't use WhatsApp in my agency. We're based out of North America, so our primary means are SMS, we have A2P, but I know around the world, especially in Europe, a lot of people will use WhatsApp for their communication. If you do that, we're gonna have a whole series later on about WhatsApp. This is where you connect and pay for having WhatsApp, all right? So that's part 2 of business services. Again, if you have questions or I didn't cover something in this video that you see in there and you're like, I'd like to know more about that, put it in the comments because my team reads those and we can do our whole how-to series based off of your comments, FAQs. I love GoHighLevel. I think it's one of the most powerful tools out there right now, but there's just so much. Like sometimes you'll have a very unique question that I want to answer and I think it's really cool. So please put them in the comments and we'll put that in our FAQ series. Again, this was part 2 of settings, and we'll see you in the next video.